Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my December 2017 wrap-up. And so, this month was kind of a weird one. I was very stressed out in the beginning part of the month. I was very sick the middle part of the month. And then the end of the month, I was really busy with the holidays and then working, because we were doing a lot of stuff there. But I still got a lot read in the end of the month. So, it was kind of a weird roller coaster month with my reading, but I think overall I still read about what I normally do, so it's a win-win. You know, I got it. I still read books. So the first book I finished was The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This was our book club pick for December, and I did not get to go to the meeting, so I don't know how everybody else liked it, because I was so sick. I went to work and I was like, I am going home. So I went straight home and did not go to the meeting. But I really enjoyed, this is a sci-fi novel, or it's a science fiction novel about a crew, the Wayfarer, and them who they punch holes through the universe to get from one place to another, and they go on a trip to do a job and what happens when they get there. And I think it's a very quiet little novel, really. It's more character stuff than action or I mean, there are events because they stop places and they meet things and they learn about other people and their cultures and stuff. But I think it's still a very quiet novel. It was just a nice, fun read. If you're not like a huge science fiction fan but want to dip your toes into it, this is a really good starting place. I think it's a very good novel. I actually already got the second one on order to come because I do want to see what happens, and I think that there's a third one that'll be later on this year. So I don't know, but I really enjoyed this, and I would recommend that as a sort of sweet sci-fi book, which is not normal. Usually they're all, you know, the world's ending, and I mean, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And then I listened to an audiobook of Unbroken by Laura Hindenbrand, and this book is one I borrowed from my dad, so I had to get it done, and I had it as one of my nonfiction November, and I didn't finish it within the month because I was listening to some other audiobooks, but I started at the end of the month and then continued on into December, and I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed the audiobook for this, but I liked having the book and I could look at the pictures when I got home to see what went along with it. But I think it would have been, for me, it would have been harder to read it than to listen to it. It was easier to consume it that way for me this time around. That happens with some history and some not. So, but I really enjoyed this. It was a very hard book to listen to sometimes because of all the stuff the guy went through, because it does talk about his earlier childhood and being an Olympic athlete, and he did some crazy things as a kid, and I'm like, I just want to whack him upside the head. But he also, you know, went to war, and he became a flyer, or he was a bombardier on one of the big planes, and they crash land, and then they're stuck in a raft for over a month, and then they're captured by the Japanese and become prisoners of war. And it is an amazing story. I think it's really well put together, and there's so many other storylines because it follows Louis Zamperini, but it talks about all the people around him or other people who are in the same POW camps or who survived kind of the same things. Like, there's a lot of testimonials in here. It was really well done, and I'm really glad my dad made me read it. I don't know if I would have picked it up on my own quite so, you know, readily, but I really enjoyed that and recommend this maybe for next nonfiction November or before. It was really good, and I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I can give it back to him and say that I enjoyed it. So, okay, so I was listening to that, and then I finished Becky Chambers' book, and I was like, I started to read, I wanted to get through my 5-star prediction list that I have, and there's still 3 fantasy books that I need to finish. Why I put like so much pressure on myself, I don't know. But the point is, they were 5-star predictions that I did back in September, and I can link that video down below. But the book I picked up next was Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell, and I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy this. I got 60 pages in, but I was so sick that I could not concentrate on this anymore. So I decided to hold off on this until January and give my brain a rest, because I just was not ready for this, because this is kind of Three Musketeers inspired fantasy, but completely different because it has to do with three guys who were greatcoats, who were these kind of magistrates or people who dealt with the law, like out in the country, and they're now reviled and everything, and I'm sure it's some kind of redemption story by the end, but the point is that it was really funny because they were things that were happening to them, but also tragic because they said some backstories and in the beginning of each of them, and it's just, oh, you're getting to know these characters, and I was really enjoying it, except I was just so sick that I could not continue. So I will be reading this into the next month, or in January. I'll try to pick it up back again. So I was feeling so sick, so I thought, hey, I still want to read, but let's reread something, because then I didn't have to focus on it, and I didn't have to worry about missing anything, because even if I missed something, I'd miss it the first time, so no big deal. Anyway, so I reread Archangels Viper by Nalini Singh. This is book 10 in the Guild Hunter series. Again, this is a paranormal romance, but the world building is so fantastic. I would classify this totally as an urban fantasy, just a lot of romance, but not really. I think this book is very much an urban fantasy. The series is just fantastic. The world building is awesome. Again, I said one of my favorite authors. So I decided to reread this. I got this book in September when it came out and read it right away then, and I just reread it. So it was fun. I love these characters. So anyway, I would suggest reading that series in order, starting with Angel's Blood, but they're awesome. Anyway, so I finished rereading that, and I was still like, not ready to restart The Traitor's Blade. I wasn't ready to start a new book. So I decided to continue my rereading, and I pulled out The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. So I read this book back in 2015, I think. No, 16. I read this in 2016 and loved it. This, completely 5 stars, this awesome. So I decided that I wanted to, so the Obelisk Gate is technically on my 5-star prediction list. So I was like, well, let's reread this book and then we'll see if I want to continue. So I reread this. It took, a little while because I wasn't feeling so good, but it was great to get back to this world, and I caught so many things that I did not remember from my first read. So it was really great. And so I finished my reread and immediately picked up The Obelisk Gate. So this is book 2. And again, I had this since it came out last year and a half ago. Anyway, the point is that I finally read this. I really enjoyed this. There was a lot of things that happened in here that I was totally twisting in ways I did not expect it to. It was really a fun ride, and but so dark and and like just builds on the 5th season. So this book was a really great second volume. I don't think it suffered too much from middle of the series what do you call that, syndrome or whatever. I thought it held really well, and I really enjoyed it, and I just kept reading. Like I just had to, because by that point I was feeling better clearly, and I think I was reading this through Christmas or something. So it was just I wanted to read, and I think I finished this actually on Christmas Eve. And I was like, oh yes, this is awesome. I have a week to read the next book, but of course, I didn't read for a couple of days because of the holiday, but this was awesome, and I definitely gave it another 5 stars. So then I picked up The Stone Sky right afterwards, and I don't think that's any, I think everybody knew I did that. Anyway, so this was, again, this was the wrap up, so the 3rd book in the trilogy, and it was really good. What the 2nd book did on getting involved more with the characters and learning more about them was awesome. I didn't really say that before. That's what that was really good about, is really getting into more of the characters and meeting more people and creating that community in the comms and stuff. It was really great. I really enjoyed that book. This book was great on the history. So we get why everything happened, or why everything's going to happen, or why everything needs to happen. And I thought it wrapped up really, really well. I don't have any, I wouldn't say that there was anything that I disliked. I think I guessed part of it. Hold on, my cat. Hey! He's eating on plastic. Sorry. So, what was I saying? So, this wrapped up really well. What was I going to say? See, I lost it. I lost it. Okay, sorry. I did kind of lose it. I had to restart. So, what I really liked about this, I mean, other than the history part of it, I am going to say that I loved the first book better than I liked the next two. So, but I still think this wrapped up really well. I think it is a solid series. I think it is something binge-worthy, seriously, because I just did it in a couple of weeks. It was so good. And I did kind of guess how some of it was going to go in the end, but I think by the time I guessed, it was much farther into this book than, you know, it's not like I shouldn't have known. But there were some things I did guess, and it did happen. So I did really enjoy this, and I completely recommend the Broken Earth trilogy. I'm really looking forward to picking up more by her next, you know, during this year sometime. But this is an excellent series, and I thought it wrapped up really well. And I was so happy that I finished it on the day before New Year's Eve, because I was like, yes, I finished the trilogy. So I did at least get one of my 5-star predictions done, and clearly I just said I loved it. So anyway, so then I picked up another book to start. So I started something yesterday, so I'm a little bit early because there's a read along on Elliot Brooks' channel, and it's for the Witcher series. I have no idea how to say this guy's name, but I started we're supposed to read The Last Wish, which is the short story collection, or the novel, I don't know, whatever is the first book. And we start that in January. Well, it was New Year's Eve, and I was sitting around going, I kind of want to read something, but I don't know what to read, so I picked that up. So I started that, and I realized I just lost a book somewhere, but that's fine. So this book is not the book I'm reading. This is actually like book number 3 or 4. Oh, 2. Sorry, this is book number 2. of the novels. So my brother's going to borrow this from me. I got this at a library sale, and I picked it up just on a whim, and luckily he needs it. So he's going to let me borrow the book that actually goes before that for February. So anyway, I'm reading The Last Wish, which is the novellas, I guess. And then we're supposed to read one book a month. So I don't know how long I'll keep with it. I'm enjoying The Last Wish so far. I got, 60 pages into it before New Year's happened. But I really am enjoying this series so far. I mean, it follows The Witcher, and he goes after, and he uses magic and weapons and things, really interesting things against creatures and monsters and stuff. So it's been fascinating so far. So I'm going to continue reading The Last Wish on my Kindle. That's what I have it on. So anyway, so that's kind of what I read. And I'll probably do a video for a TBR. I did for one day listen to in my car The Grace of Kings. I think I read it I think it was only a day or two. But I just didn't feel like having an audiobook right off. So, but this is the audiobook I'm going to pick up in January. Again, this and this are my last 2 5-star predictions. So I want to get those done in January if I can. This audiobook is like 22 hours long. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, so that's all the stuff that I read or started in December. And so we'll see. I will put up a TBR just in a little bit. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you guys pick up some of these books. They were great. Thanks. Bye.